We were supposed to have dinner with Alyssa and Noah tonight. Old friends from way back. Practically family. It had been nearly 2 decades since we all first met in the corridors of our high school. Alyssa and I had grown up together, sharing childhood secrets, heartbreaks, and laughs over cheap sodas and worn textbooks. We knew one another's parents, siblings, even distant cousins. She was there when my father passed, and I was there when her grandmother fell ill. It felt like we were stitched from the same fabric of memories. That's why I was still in shock after what transpired a few days ago. A memory rose unbidden. Alyssa sitting at my kitchen table, shoulders relaxed, voice steady. She was talking about her new job. She'd been there a year and earned a promotion under a supervisor who, by all appearances, had taken a liking to her. Alyssa had dropped by, claiming to miss the old days when we'd hang out and gossip. Yet this time, the gossip wasn't innocent. With a chilling kind of pride, she revealed that for the last 4 months she had been having an affair. Not just a fling, but something that sounded disturbingly orchestrated. Her supervisor, a married man himself, had become her lover, her escape. Incredibly, she didn't confide in me out of remorse or confusion. She was bragging. She showed off pictures of the resort they planned to visit for work, asking me to cover for her if her husband, Noah, called. She planned to go silent for a week, leaving him clueless. She wanted me to lie on her behalf. My stomach lurched at the memory. I'd known Alyssa since we were 12, and this was the first time I couldn't recognize her. The woman who used to cry over sappy movies and bake cookies for fundraisers now had the audacity to mock her own marriage. Noah, her high school sweetheart, was the kind of man who picked up groceries for neighbors who couldn't drive, who mowed our elderly teacher's lawn every Sunday morning. He trusted Alyssa implicitly, loved her so openly it was almost a cliché. They had built a life together, 15 years of marriage. He never doubted her, never questioned her late nights or sudden work trips. He was, by all measures, a good man. I remembered how I'd told Alyssa to get out of my house, refusing to be her alibi. Her expression had shifted from smug to incredulous, as if she truly believed I'd condone such a thing. She left in a huff, slamming the door behind her. That evening, I told Mark everything. He was appalled, not just at the betrayal, but at how casually Alyssa had tried to entangle me in her deceit. Mark and Noah were close now, good friends who played basketball on Saturdays and helped each other with home repairs. Telling Noah the truth felt less like a choice and more like a moral obligation. We discovered we had security camera footage from the porch, a small, grainy clip capturing Alyssa's voice as she admitted the affair right outside our home, talking too loudly about her arrangements. We had proof. We planned on going to Noah that very night, providing him with the evidence so he could decide his next steps. This was no petty revenge. This was about integrity. How could we let someone we loved remain in the dark? I glanced at the calendar. Just last summer, we all barbecued in my backyard, Alyssa and Noah laughing over old yearbook pictures. Had that been a lie too? The thought made me feel ill. Mark, noticing my silence, sat beside me. He squeezed my hand. "You sure about this?" he asked quietly. I nodded. We both knew Noah deserved the truth, no matter how painful. Before we left, I realized something important. The future of their marriage was Noah's to decide, not ours. We had toyed with the idea of going nuclear, revealing everything to her workplace and family. Alyssa's superior had promoted her. Clearly favoritism at play, maybe a violation of company policy. And if her family knew, would they pressure her to come clean, to face the damage she'd caused? But in the end, Mark and I agreed to wait. Noah deserved to make his choice without us dropping bombs that might shape the outcome in ways he wouldn't want. We arrived at Noah and Alyssa's place that evening, bringing a bottle of good whiskey we'd intended for a normal dinner. The air felt heavy as we stepped onto their porch. Before we could knock, the door opened. Noah stood there, eyes red, posture slumped. My heart sank. He already knew something was off. "Come in," he said quietly. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. There were half-packed suitcases by the staircase. Noah explained that Alyssa had confessed earlier that day, confessed not with tears or pleas for forgiveness, but with detached finality. She had said she was leaving on a vacation with her boyfriend. Noah, in his confusion, had first thought she meant him, babbling about a trip to Italy they'd once planned. She repeated the word boyfriend until it sank in. Noah described how he'd begged on his knees for her to reconsider, how he sobbed until his throat ached. Alyssa had barely reacted. She'd grabbed her bags and walked out, leaving him shattered on the living room floor. I offered Noah the footage and recordings we had. He blinked slowly, like someone trying to wake from a nightmare. We explained everything, including Alyssa's nonchalance when she told me. He pressed his lips together, hands shaking. We could see he was searching for some explanation, something that would make sense. I told him we'd do anything he needed: financial help, a place to stay, legal contacts. Mark offered a friend's pro bono legal services if Noah decided on divorce. Noah's shoulders sagged, tears gathering in the corners of his eyes. He thanked us, said he needed time, and admitted he still loved her. That was his burden to bear, whether to hold on to a broken marriage or let it go. We left quietly, respecting his space. Outside, Mark sighed deeply. We had come prepared for anger, confrontation, maybe even a fight. We hadn't expected heartbreak so quiet it felt like screaming into a void. Noah was such a good man. How could Alyssa treat him this way? Over the next few days, Alyssa's behavior grew even stranger. She posted pictures of her and her lover on social media, flaunting their relationship under the guise of a work trip. There was no shame, no remorse. Her family, who adored Noah, reached out in confusion. Noah, ever protective, initially told them it was a mutual break. But Alyssa's mom contacted me, and I couldn't lie. I told her the truth. Alyssa had been cheating for months, bragging about it, and had left Noah in ruins. Her mother's face crumpled at the news, voice trembling as she revealed something neither I nor Noah knew. Alyssa had cheated in high school too, multiple times. Her mother had dismissed it as teenage stupidity back then, never imagining Alyssa would carry this behavior into adulthood. The revelation explained Alyssa's calm demeanor. This was not a sudden break. Maybe it was who she had always been, hidden beneath layers of youthful innocence and years of pretending. I felt angry at Alyssa's mom for withholding this all these years, for not warning Noah. But after I cooled down, I realized that nothing could be undone now. Noah's life was his own. He had to face Alyssa as she was, not as we wished her to be. Then news came that both Alyssa and her superior had been fired. Their company discovered the affair, perhaps through rumors or Alyssa's brazen photos, and decided the promotion constituted unethical favoritism. They lost their six-figure salaries in a snap. That's when Alyssa's fairy tale soured. Her lover, furious at losing his position, abandoned her abroad. He canceled her return ticket, leaving her stranded with suitcases and a dwindling credit card limit. I expected Alyssa to call Noah, contrite, begging forgiveness. Or maybe she'd call her mother, or some friend willing to rescue her. Instead, silence fell over the situation for a couple of days. In that silence, I dared hope that Noah would see things clearly, that he would save himself from more pain. Mark and I had agreed, if Noah wanted to end it quietly, we would respect his choice. If he wanted to go public, reveal everything to her family, ruin her reputation, we'd stand by him. But we wouldn't instigate anything more. It wasn't our marriage. It wasn't our life. Our job was to support him, not to direct him. On the third day, a stunning twist, Alyssa came back, and Noah took her in. She spun a story about making a terrible mistake, claiming she'd seen the light once the affair fell apart. There was no mention of remorse before, no sign of regret when she'd first confessed. Now that she was jobless, stranded, and humiliated by her scorned lover, she framed herself as repentant. Noah, still reeling from heartbreak, desperate to salvage the life he'd built, accepted her back into their home. When we heard the news, Mark and I sat in disbelief. We'd hoped Noah would at least demand counseling, conditions, or some form of accountability. Instead, he expressed a familiar refrain: "I made vows. I have to stand by them." Yet Alyssa had shattered those vows herself. Was he truly standing by them, or was he just too afraid to start over? Regardless, the choice was his. Mark and I made ours too. We decided to maintain distance. We couldn't pretend that this was normal or healthy. We'd known both of them for so long, but we couldn't ignore Alyssa's actions or Noah's denial. We would keep our phones open if he needed help, but we wouldn't accept invitations, wouldn't attend cozy dinners, pretending nothing happened. Life was too short, and we wanted to keep our own home free from that kind of toxicity, especially as we considered starting a family of our own. Over the following weeks, we tried to find peace with this resolution. Alyssa's family was in turmoil, her mother apologizing to me again and again. Noah's parents were baffled. Friends whispered behind closed doors. But Mark and I stayed out of it, remembering that we had given Noah the truth. What he did with it was beyond our control. On a quiet Sunday, as the summer air pressed warm against our windows, Mark and I talked it through one last time. We'd done our best. We told the truth. We supported Noah's right to know. When we considered going nuclear, telling everyone, destroying Alyssa's career, her image, it would have only complicated things and potentially hurt Noah's situation. Ultimately, Alyssa's downfall came from her own arrogance and the company's policies. And Noah, for reasons only he understood, chose to forgive her without any visible remorse on her part. In the end, not every story ends with justice or clarity. Sometimes, people choose broken arrangements over starting anew, and sometimes love or fear of being alone blinds them. Alyssa might cheat again, or maybe they'll both learn to live with their distorted dynamic. Either way, it was no longer our concern. We walked out onto our porch, Mark and I, watching the sunset turn the sky shades of pink and orange. A neighbor waved. Kids rode bicycles on the street. Life went on. Maybe we'd never truly know why Alyssa changed, or if she'd always been this way. Maybe Noah's choices would forever baffle us. All we could do was protect our peace, keep our integrity, and remember that we did what we believed was right. And as the light faded, I realized something. The world doesn't guarantee happy endings or moral resolutions. Sometimes people pick up the broken pieces of their lives and press them back together in shapes that will never quite fit. Our role, as friends, had been to lift the veil of ignorance so Noah wouldn't live in darkness. We had done that. Now we had to let go, trusting that he would find his own path forward, no matter how crooked it looked to us. We went inside, locked the door behind us, and sat together quietly, letting the day's last warmth seep in through the glass. We would move on, continue building our own life, leaving Alyssa and Noah to write the rest of their story however they chose.